Okay. to your head.
Oh dear. Sorry. It's hard to do this without getting my head in the way.
So, Sue, when you do a pattern on something,
Yeah.
do you kind of layer up the grey tones with the colours of the pattern? I mean, I've got a pattern on a white thing, and so I've done a bit of grey to get the kind of tone in.
Yeah.
But now I've got to start. I think I should start on the pattern.
Yeah.
And then maybe I put another layer of the background grey on top of that.
Yes, I think so. Because if you leave it white like I've done now, it just doesn't look right. It doesn't look old enough. Do you know what I mean? I think the actual, well, in this case, the colour of the glaze is sort of a pale grey, that's behind everything. It's not white at all.
Yeah. Well, I've done a sort of background amount of grey to get away from the white, but I think I'll have to do some more on top of the actual thing.
Yes. All those of you who are doing plain pots are at a big advantage because you can just concentrate on like with this little thing, you can concentrate on the way the lights and darks fuse them together and the highlights. Whereas as soon as you've got something daft like this, it's much more tricky. But anyway, I've done it now, so there we are. Now I've mixed a grey, and I'm actually going to paint a grey on this bit that looks like it's white, because it's not white at all. By the way, Shelley, I've got, without using raw sienna, I've mixed a bit of alizarin, a bit of vermilion red, and a bit of Prussian blue, and it makes a lovely burnt sienna colour. So you kind of don't need these other extra colours, but they're quite useful, you know, time to time. We probably should stop in a minute and have a look at what everybody's done.
And what about some advice about the background? I see,
Okay.
I see you've managed to get your background in.
Well, I've only done a little tiny bit.
When did you do that?
I will give you some advice on that if you'd like some. What I did was just to paint a very pale wash of the general colour of this piece of wood, and I'm going to go over it again because I want to take the colour, I want to make this cast shadow darker, so I'm going to take the brown over the top of the cast shadows. I'm going to put the cast shadows in, and then I'm going to take my wood colour over the top, and in the back here I'm going to just do it very loosely. I'm going to leave bits of the white paper coming up through it, and I'll just do a sort of a soft grey, probably with a little tiny bit of warmth appearing here and there.
So
you
wet the whole thing.
No, I didn't actually, Prue. I used I just took the wash across very quickly, but I had plenty on my brush.
Righto.
So if I was, say, for instance, doing this bit, I would do it as quickly as this. I just literally go across the whole thing.
Yeah.
Just, take the paint round the shapes, if you can, without getting them on the shapes. And just leave bits of the white paper, but take it over the tape so you don't get sort of, bits looking rough at the edges.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Just as quickly as that, just a damp colour. Now, if you wanted to add it in a bit of something, again, you could go to another wash and I would just make it really, really pale. I just put a bit of a bit of yellowy colour on here. And I would just drop it in. Can you see how I'm dropping in? It's all very wet.
Yes, yes.
I mean, as quickly and as roughly as that. It doesn't need to be flat and uninteresting. It just wants to have a little bit of white coming up through it here and there. You'll find that when it dries will look quite nice and interesting. Prove what I'm doing.
Yep.
So really quick. Yep. And then you can go back and deal with your shapes. Now I've taken this too close to this one, so I'm just going to wipe it back. Okay.
Yep.
And that will be just the start of my wash. I'll go out a bit. Can you see how rough and wet that is?
Yes.
Now here, where it's the window frame, I probably will use more of a grey blue so that it takes it away from this. This might end up a bit darker. I don't know. I may go back and darken it. I'm not sure. But I would keep it very loose and very wet when you do the background and even the foreground, and make sure you take it right up to the extremity of the tape. Then it'll look much nicer when you finish. Okay. Now I would go back with my brownie colour and take it over the cast shadow, because the cast shadows need to be darker. Yeah. This one needs to be darker. I just put it in just to have a look, really, at the shape of it as much as anything.
Yeah.
And that's about it. Okay. So
thank you very much.
Is that helpful?
Very helpful.
Okay, good.